Hi everyone, it's Carissa and I am here with a color challenge project for the Studio Calico CHA virtual crop. And my color challenge was inspired by this cute little skirt I found at Target and I thought it was so adorable, so I chose the colors from that for my color challenge. I have gathered up some inks here. This is a Midnight Muse, Pool Party, and Lucky Limeade from Stampin' Up. And then I also have the Hero Arts Mid-Tone Ink and Pale Tomato. And part of this color challenge is gold, so I'm going to be bringing the gold in with this Zing Gold Embossing Powder. I also have some stamps from Studio Calico. This is from the Spalding Bowl add-on kit. And the Let's Be Adventures, these following stamp sets are all from Project Life kits. And so I'm going to be using that heart there from the Amazing stamp set. And some of these back sides of these circles from this stamp set too. So I'm starting out with watercolor paper. It's cut to 4¼ by 11, and I'm scoring it at 5½, and then I'm just taking my bone folder and giving it a nice good crease. I chose watercolor paper for the texture. I'm not going to be adding water to this. I have another piece of watercolor paper here that is cut to 3¾ by 5, and a piece of vellum that's cut to 2½ by 11, and I'm just making some score marks because eventually I'm going to be wrapping this vellum around this piece of watercolor paper like you see me doing now. So I just kind of wanted to get a feel for where I needed to stamp my greeting and that sort of thing. I'm prepping the surface now of my vellum with an EK Success powder tool just to keep the extra embossing powder from sticking to areas I don't want it to. And then that thank you greeting there comes from the Spalding Bowl add-on kit from the January release of Studio Calico. So I'm just stamping that there in some Versamark ink, and you probably won't see these at first, but when I add the embossing powder, you'll be able to see them. This little heart I'm going to stamp a few times in the Versamark ink, and that one's from the Amazing stamp set, and I'm just kind of scattering those around. And then I'll bring in my embossing powder in gold here, the Zing embossing powder, sprinkle it all over, tap off the excess, and then heat set it. Now I did let my heat tool heat up a little bit before I took it to the paper, and that's going to help prevent some warping on this vellum. You want to let it heat up first, then take it to your vellum and keep it moving. Once it starts to melt like you see it doing there, you'll see me move on. I don't want to concentrate heat a lot in one spot to prevent warping. So that is all heat embossed now. And I'm going to take that piece and just flip it over on some scratch paper because I'm going to be stamping on the back side of this vellum now. And I'm going to be using the back side of some of these circle stamps to create some polka dots. So this is from the Let's Be Adventures stamp set. It's kind of a constellation stamp. And I'm going to mount it upside down on the block. So I'm using the back part of this, and I'm inking it up in some different colors. Now this stamp is not actually solid on the back. It has some holes in it, but it doesn't bother me. I think it adds to that kind of watercolored, really cool effect that I'm going for. So I'm just going to start with my largest stamps first. I'm going to place my largest stamps where I want them, and then I will come back in with the smaller stamps and the polka dots and fill those in. So you can see me doing that here. And the cool thing about clear stamps, you can stamp over if you don't get it right the first time. So I'm just filling in with that, and then this Pool Party ink that I didn't have any large ones on, I'm just going to add a bunch of the small ones to really bring that color back into the project here. And then I felt like I needed a smaller polka dot, so I'm going to use that little snowflake from the Blue Note stamp set, flip that one over to use for my very smallest polka dot as well. While I have my inks out, I have this piece of vanilla cardstock, and I am just going to create a piece of pink cardstock to back my top piece with. So I'm just dragging the ink pad along the edges there. And that will dry really nice and even as it dries because it is a Hero Arts ink. I got a little impatient, so I went ahead and hit this with a heat tool. I'm keeping it moving very quickly, and then I dabbed a little bit of the excess ink off there with a napkin. I'm going to attach this now to the piece of watercolor paper, and I'm being very careful because it's still a little bit wet, and you can kind of see it shining there. It's wet. So I just added some tape runner adhesive, and then I'm going to position this on that piece of watercolored paper that's cut to 3¾ by 5. I'm going to position it over to the left-hand side Once I get it where I want, then I can flip it over. I'm going to pull it nice and snug and attach it on the back side. So I just want to get a nice snug fit so it doesn't gape too much. I'm attaching that pink layered piece with some tape runner adhesive, and then I used some foam adhesive to add the topper to this. Now you'll see me here, I am going to almost put this on upside down, which would have made the second time I had to rip it up, but you'll see I realized it and so I flipped it around here. Finally got it right, and there is the card for today. Join us over at the Studio Calico blog today for some challenges for the CHA virtual crop. Any of the products are listed and linked over at my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com, so you can check those out there. Thanks for stopping by and have a wonderful day.